Seed for growth. This is an important topic, and there are many guests, great educators that speak of alternative techniques, curriculums, and strategies for all ages. But ultimately, there's one core message that must be conveyed with courage, care, and fire. I'm here today as a speaker, a seeker of truth, a propagator of nature, and a father, in hopes to plant the seed that will activate growth. And the graphic on here says, never be afraid of being that parent. You are your child's one and only advocate. If you don't rise up and fight for them, who else will? So I'm speaking truth today for a lot of parents and a lot of children. So, becoming a parent. Let's talk about the human experience. This is where it starts. The act of creating a child, meaning a man and a woman creating a vessel for the monad, the single unit of consciousness, to animate the body or vessel for consciousness to experience, learn, and evolve. This is a divine act within the higher creative intelligence of nature. The responsibility and obligation is of the greatest importance, for this process of raising a child will either evolve or devolve the individual, and then adding to the aggregate condition of the species. So, when you become a parent, I don't think this is stressed out. I don't think this is stressed enough. There's a huge moral obligation. You step into a whole new realm of karma, right? So we're going to get into that as well. So what is conscious parenting? Conscious parenting, the ability to raise a child's level of consciousness to a higher state of awareness through education of the human psyche, the laws of nature that govern this reality. The awareness of the parent directly affects the child's awareness. Conscious parenting is about wisdom. Wisdom is knowledge applied. All the information that we gather, we can output that in our behavior and our actions, and that is wisdom, can be wisdom. So, if we're going to talk about conscious parenting, we got to find out what is conscious, and it derives from consciousness. So consciousness is the ability of a being to recognize patterns and meaning with respect to events taking place, both within oneself and in the environment. To be conscious means having awareness by way of pattern recognition. So we have our reality, and then we have our self, right? On the deep level, it's one and the same. So having pattern recognition on our thoughts, emotions, and actions, but also in our environment, locally, what's going on right around us, regional, in the surrounding areas, and then the big picture, global, or just the totality of what's going on during that time and in that moment. And this is what makes us different from animals. We are not animals. We are separate. We have animalistic characteristics and physical features, but we are in a completely different category. We have this higher, thought function that allows us to use logic and reason, and we're at a higher level of pattern recognition. Parenting. This is like a typical, just textbook definition. The responsibility of raising and educating a child from birth to adulthood. So we got two aspects, responsibility and education. And we're going to dive into these deeper, but these are main categories where there's tons of subcategories underneath them. Responsibility and education. And I got the finger because you're a parent. It's your responsibility. What are you going to do? And choice is yours. Here's another term that I personally like, and that is stewardship. It means entrusted to one's care. A parent is similar to stewardship, the careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care. So the new being coming in, the single unit of consciousness, right? Ultimately, we're all part of the one mind, the source, but it's fractalized. And it's an individual unit's experiencing itself and having this experience to learn about itself. So also, a facilitator is someone who makes progress easier, guiding the human being until it is fully equipped to be self-sufficient. The knowledge and wisdom gained throughout the parent's life can be transferred to the child to make for a more impactful experience. So I like these two terms. This is great. Stewardship, because yes, you have to be careful and responsible for something of great care, and that is, a child, a small child, until they're able to take care of themselves. And I think ultimately parenting is for life. You're always going to be a parent. And actually the tables, I think, reverse towards the later years when you're older, right? It's like the child, the grown child or the grown up takes care of his parents because the parents are elderly and start to resemble childlike characteristics. But facilitation can make this process easier, almost to your advantage. But that all depends on the parents' knowledge and understanding. So here are some of the general responsibilities. We have mental, psychological, emotional, physical, also protection, right? Keeping your kids safe, love, of course, also care and nurturing the child, and to educate. And all those last topics, you could do hours and hours on those and get into the nitty gritty. I'm getting to a message that I want to focus on that I feel is extremely important. So let's talk about the family dynamic. The family is the basic unit of human society and the formative center of the individual's life. The family and the home become the first structural model of the world that the child knows, and his or her psychological, moral, and spiritual development emanates from this formative environment. The formative years of a child's life will lay the foundation, or programming, for operating in the world and the ability to understand oneself correctly. And I know it, in this given time, that co-parenting is the norm, is the majority, like myself. That's a whole other topic that we can get into. But the principles and the message that I'm going to explain today can directly relate to that for sure. So let's talk about the formative years. I'm focusing on the formative years. This is the most important part of a being's life. 0 to 8, 0 to 7, 0 to 8, right? This is the child's cognitive ability is taking in everything. It's just soaking it up just like a sponge. So the formative years, or the early stages of childhood, are between 0 and 8 years of a child's life, where they learn more quickly than any other time in life. During this time, a child is completely programmable. This is the most important time to teach principles, critical thinking, and connecting with nature, with the natural world. Prime time. And, there's a lot of parents that came to a higher level of awareness about what's going on in themselves and how things, this reality and oneself operate later on in life. But you're always going to be a parent and you're always going to be an educator. So we'll get into that as well. And here is the equation. Garbage in, garbage out, quality in, quality out. Meaning if you program, if you instill negative qualities, bad programming, it's going to output in that child's behavior. Feelings of worthlessness, it's going to output into low self-esteem, low confidence, right? Lack of self-love. And of course, quality in, nurturing, love, principles, a good, correct education, and you're going to output the good stuff. Good looks come genetically, so sorry. Okay, human nature. Human beings are programmable. Not good or evil, programmable. Much like computers. Like a computer, if a human being has a bad file system format, which are the conditions during a child's formative years, a bad operating system, the culture, and bad software programs, which are false dogmatic belief systems, their output, behavior, onto the screen of life will also be bad and incorrect, and will contribute to the deteriorating human condition in the aggregate. Remember, the individual adds to the aggregate of humanity, the collective conscious and the collective unconscious. It's all about the individual. So is this going to is the individual going to evolve and contribute, or devolve and degrade? So like a computer, the behavior of a human being will largely depend upon its programming, the quality of the information put into it, which enables it to process and create efficiently. We are lowercase c creators. We can influence through manifestation, through our will, and influence reality. Not single-handedly create it. Okay, that's a false dogmatic belief that we're all individually creating our reality. No, that's not how it works. We can influence, but not the sole creators. Now,